Everything we've done's led up to right now. Right now. This legacy are full of legends. You can become a legend today, boys. Put your stamp on history. Put your stamp on a legacy. It is going to take all of us. All of us. Men, be not afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend.
Welcome to OPA Podcast, episode 13, season 2, episode 3 or 4. I lost track. But welcome to recapping of the Fresno State game and previewing the Georgia Southern game. Again, I'm one of your hosts, Jason O.
I'm Larranz. Oh my goodness, it's Winfield again, Guider.
I'm Wyatt.
I'm Griffin, and Fresno was live. Yes, thanks for asking.
Hee.
Oh, I forgot you were there. You called us after the interception. I was
Yeah, I did. I just had to celebrate the moment with people, even though there were like 30 million Gopher fans around me. I was just freaking out, doing
like
everything.
Real people. That game was something interesting.
5 fumbles, 3 of them lost. Low snaps throughout the entire game. I don't know what was going on there. Miscues everywhere, bad penalties. But yet we have a 4th and 13 catch in the end zone. We have 3rd and 18 where Rashad Bateman just decides, let me run it to the sticks and have Tanner throw it behind me and just somehow fit it in there. And then I get a first down, which I'm going to credit this whole game to Rashad Bateman, only because he saved us on a 3rd and 18, in which no playbook ever has a play that works.
That's
my take.
You know what I'm going to credit? I'm going to credit a coach that was a wide receiver who developed Corey Davis and now has a lot of toys that he can play with, and as such can develop a wide receiver core that, as the Saturday Tradition blog so eloquently put it 2 days ago, can we talk about the fact that Minnesota wide receivers have magical powers?
All the attention goes to one, and nobody knows about the others.
Exactly.
And that's what's beautiful.
Exactly.
I was skeptical because I knew Tyler might not have the greatest year because he got all the attention last year, but he can still do some work. But we got other people that can more than pick up his slack.
Rashad.
Well, I mean, it's not even slack. I mean,
That's true.
I think the moment people are like, crap, if you cover 6, because last year it was like there were moments where Rashad or Crab would show up, but now through 2 games it's been consistent where if you try to cover Tyler, Rashad will end you. If you cover both of them, Chris Hopman-Bell will do what the fuck he does. So
Oh wait, there's one receiver that's off the bus, and his name is Demetrius Douglas.
Yeah, he off the bus again. Catch the ball, Demetrius. Catch the ball.
Please. Oh.
You know who's back on the bus? Jake Paulson. Look at him catching stuff.
Did he catch any?
Yes, he did. Like the first 2 plays of the game, both tight ends. I was like, come on, Jake.
And then he blocked.
Oh, he was 2 receptions for 19 yards. Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Jake Paulson. He put in work early for that first drive, which was like a thing of beauty. Right down the field.
So do we want to go over stats here quickly and stuff before we move on?
Sure, go for it.
Hurry up.
Scoring. So first quarter, Rashad Bateman, 15-yard touchdown pass from Tanner Morgan. So
Easy.
7-0. Next up, field goal by Fresno State, 48-yarder. Next up, touchdown by Rodney Smith, 1-yard run, 14-3. Ronnie Rivers, 25-yard pass from Jorge Reyna for making it 14-10, half.
That should have never happened.
True.
That touchdown should have never happened.
There were 21 points that never should have happened with Fresno. Let's be clear.
You're not wrong. I'm just saying that one was oof.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next up in the third quarter, field goal, Fresno State 30-yarder. Then a touchdown by Jared Rice, 14-yard pass from Jorge Reyna, and then they converted on the 2-point conversion, making it 14-21. Fourth quarter, Mohamed Ibrahim runs in 1-yard touchdown rush, making 21-21. Jorge Reyna does a 2-yard run, making it 21-28. And then the miraculous 20-yard touchdown pass from Tanner Morgan to Chris Ottman-Bell, the Crab, on 4th and 13, making it 28-28. Double overtime. Both teams scored touchdowns in overtime. Then we scored the field goal in double OT, and then the miraculous Antoine Winfield Jr.'s interception.
Who came yet again out of nowhere in cover 2 on a different receiver, turns his head around, locates the ball, and still picks it off.
Let it be known, watching it live, I saw the ball getting thrown. I saw the tight end and busted coverage, and I knew that the game was over. And then I didn't even see the number, but I saw a flash of Maroon and Gold just jump in front of it. And somewhere in my spirit, in the religious experience, where my spirit, I said, is that number 11? Sure enough, the Gopher gods are good. Continue.
And that's what the Row the Boat mantra is all about. Never giving up.
Unlike a
that coverage
team
happened so much during that game, I felt like we never adjusted. And yet, Antoine just saves the day again.
I mean, to be fair, the game should have never gotten as close as it was.
Well, we covered the spread, so it's all good.
We did. I mean, and we never gave up as a team, unlike another certain team in the West that went to a 5-7 Pac-12 team and gave up a 17-point lead. I'm not gonna say any names or nothing, but the Super Bowl champs of the world, the greatest team in the history, Big Ten champs, beating everyone by 70, like it's 1995. That team. I'm not gonna mention any names, because I don't want to be petty. Anyway,
I'll say it. Nebraska.
Trash. Anyway. But Adrian Martinez is winning the Eastman. Anyway. Yes. But anyway, yeah, back to this game.
So, anything else from this game? Well, for sure, we've all noticed dumb penalties.
I feel like Rodney Smith has kind of lost a step, in my opinion.
To be fair, he spent a year on the shelf.
Well, he did, and this is his 6th year, but I just like the way Mo runs. He runs lower, and
I would disagree with that only because I think right now, with how they are running the ball with these inside zones, that Mo is just more equipped for running this particular style because he runs angry and he wants to hit someone. Rodney is most disgusting when you give him just a little bit of space so he can do that disrespectful jump cut. And so far, we have not been able to do that. We have not been able to see Rodney in space. I don't know why we haven't seen Rodney in space, but our offensive coaching has just decided to run him right into the middle. Now, for Mo, that works. For Rodney, you give him some space, as we have all seen, he's hitting his head on the goalpost. So, that's me.
I think Ryan Burns from 24/7 Sports made a good point about Rodney, though. Like how you said, Larranz, when you give Rodney space, he'll take advantage of it. And Ryan Burns made a good point. Kirk Shiraka is pretty much trying to make Rodney Smith run his style of offense in the run game, which is Mo's, hit low, hit him, and go. Like, run and bash style, which works with Bryce and Mo, and maybe Shannon, if you say so, but that's not Rodney.
Now, Rodney is dangerous in other places. I didn't actually read that, but yeah, Griffin, I wanted to ask you this, Griffin or Wyatt or anyone who wants to answer. I was wondering because I read this. Does it feel like, even though Tanner's bailed us out, but does it feel like they're running plays based off of if Zach Annexstad was the QB?
Oh,
That's a tough question.
Because
no, because
they
Zach
are-
would throw more long balls.
Well,
Would he?
He would.
Hold up.
I don't think Zach is the stronger arm. Is he?
Zach has a
is
much
the
stronger arm than Tanner. Why do you think
He
Tanner
is.
throws all the 10-yard slants?
But I mean, like, there were some throws like, across the field, like across the hashes, where, frankly, if it were any Big Ten, not any Big Ten, if it were Iowa, if it were Wisconsin, that stuff is nitpicked off. Where like it kind of floated just like where he ran us. And I remember watching Zach, and I rewatched a few games where Zach played last year, and that's throwing bullets off the field. So does it? It feels a little bit like you're game planning for an injured Zach, as opposed to a healthy Tanner, if that makes sense.
What's going on over there, Griff?
I'm getting ready to go, but for me, next week, Gophers by 30.
Gophers by 30.
Option play is dead. And we're gonna see a little bit more Seth Green next week in the take the green line to the end zone.
Let's hope.
Seth Green 2 touchdowns, Muhammad a touchdown, Bateman and Crab another one. So it's going to be a lot of tutties, but it's going to be a good time.
There has been a noticeably disrespectful lack of Seth Green this year, if my angry Facebook comments don't make that clear. I miss Seth Green.
Well, if it's just for the non-conference games, that's fine. Also, let's note how great the Gophers are in non-conference. 17 straight, losing to Boykin, whatever team he was on. I don't know. Let's forget about 2015, and then.
Don't mention that year, man. Don't mention that year. Oh God, oh no.
Oh, that was the year where we almost won so many games. TCU loses by 6. The starting
now we're winning those games
because PJ Fleck. You know who isn't winning close games?
Nebraska.
At Scott Frost.
I'm not saying I'm petty, and I'm not saying I enjoyed seeing them basically lose a home game, even though it was in Boulder. I'm not saying that was hilarious, but it was hilarious.
All right, so Chris picked winning by 30. Gophers on top.
Yeah, we're gonna go. We're gonna do like 42 to 10.
What about the rest of y'all?
Almost a copy.
Hold on, let's analyze this game a little bit.
So right now the spread is 15.5. Over under is 45.5.
Ooh.
That's the over under?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, they don't see us getting. Oh yeah, I'm definitely taking the over on that, but I don't know.
If it's like our defense has been the last couple of weeks, we'll be a lot better on the run. I think we held Fresno to like 60 yards, right?
Roughly.
Correct. I mean, okay, I just want to be clear, like, once again, I truly do believe our defense was so much better than that game showed, because there were 21 points in that game that came after we should have the drive should have been over. Out of like just ridiculous penalties that didn't even need to happen. So it was I give Fresno State like 10 points off of a real drive and 25 points off of Gophers being stupid.
Yep. Oh, I think Wyatt will love this. Your boy Jacob Herbers did well holding, but also held well for a freshman kicker to make that field goal in OT.
Those were some ugly kicks, but they worked.
Herbers for Heisman.
Herbers for Heisman. You know who Herbers is playing better than? A guy named Adrian Martin. I'm sorry, I'm not petty, but I really am.
Are you sure you're not petty, Larranz? Sounds a lot like you might be petty.
And I'm going to say this, you know the team that I'm so excited about that's actually good? Freaking Maryland. I'm happy about Maryland because they're putting up...
Hold on, save this. I got hot takes later.
Oh, preview.
Hot take, when will Nebraska realize they need a defensive coordinator, not a head coach? And I'm going to end on that in my segment. Good night, gentlemen.
Wait, Griffin. Wait, hold up.
Oh, no, he's gone.
This is my final hot take. Well, not my final hot take, but my hot take for Griffin. This year, Clemson wins. Brett Venables is a head coach in the Big Ten next year. Brett Venables is Clemson's defensive coordinator who has been disgusting in what he has been doing on defense. And he will be in the Big Ten next year.
Where would he go?
I don't know. Probably taking over for Illinois when Lovie Smith gets fired. Because, like...
Do we know that Lovie Smith is ever going to get fired?
Illinois is not happy with him.
Here's the thing. Illinois hasn't been happy with him for years.
Okay. So
since day one, they have not been happy with Lovie.
It wasn't not day one, but it was kind of one of those things.
Okay, day one and a half.
They knew that it was going to be a rebuilding process. They just didn't think that by, year 4, that barely beating a 1-11 Connecticut team would be the bare minimum. That, I guess they just assumed that. But you know what? Hey, some people beat a 3-9 Sunbelt team at home and think they're winning the West, so I'm not petty. I'm really not. Anyway.
So back to the preview of the game. So ESPN's matchup predictor. So we covered the spread and the over/under. But ESPN's football index has us winning 90.8% out of Georgia Southern's 9.2%. Some key stats right now, even though it's only 2 games so far. So Georgia Southern's has scored points per game 14.5 versus our 33. Points allowed per game 36.5 versus our 28. But then again, they did lose to 6th ranked LSU 55-3 though. So
I mean, and based off of what LSU did to Texas, I'm not that's a healthy loss. That's a good L.
Some more key stuff. Total yards even per game, it's 344 yards. Like each team, but allowed by their defense, our defense or theirs. Georgia Southern's 415.5, and for us, we allow about 356 yards. But also their quarterback, their leading passer, Jay Tomlin, is only for 7 for 17 for 87 yards. But their running backs are loaded.
Did we expect Georgia Southern to have a good quarterback?
Nope.
Did we expect this to be a hard game?
They won 10 games last year. They're not a bad team.
But they're not Fresno.
No, they're not.
I mean...
But this could be a trap game where we think, like, oh, we're mighty and dominant and it's an easy-peasy game. Go on to next week and then watch us lose.
That's what you think, Jason.
I thought that this was going to be a harder game than the South Dakota State game.
I don't think I agree with that, but I think it's because we've played 2 games at this point, but I don't agree with that.
I only say that because with the South Dakota State game, first game of the year, and we were going to be nasty everywhere, but also South Dakota State was breaking in a true freshman who had never seen game action, and his first game was on the road against a very angry Big Ten team. So, like, my assumption was we were going to stomp his head into the mud. That did not happen.
That clearly did not happen.
That very much so did not happen, even though he really shouldn't throw the ball. But this game's a little different. I think we're going to win by way more than we did against South Dakota State because at some point in the Fresno State game, someone realized that if you put Boye Mafe in the center, he will destroy the offensive center and try to eat your quarterback. And I really enjoyed seeing that. I really did.
Oh, it was that line of was Boye Mafe, SAC Automewo, Carter Coughlin, and Micah Dutredway, who made those nice plays.
Like 4 sacks. I just really want to talk about Joe Rossi's pass rush packages are disgusting, and I love them.
Uncle Joe!
Like, this was something, like, I remember I looked at a little recap of it, and there was the first sack that, like, Chris Williamson just destroyed Jorge Reyna. But, like, the thing that I read about it was, here's how creative Joe Rossi was. If you weren't paying attention, Carter Coughlin was coming from the other way. So that if Jorge dodged one of them, he was going to get smacked by Carter the other way. Why? Because good scheming. Ugh.
And he did, and Carter got the sack.
Very much so. No, this was a different. The first one, Carter Coughlin just got him because he destroys left tackles. Like, duh. But this was the second one where Chris Williamson just shot in like a cannon and put him on and just put him on his back. Good stuff. We love pass rushing. It's a good time. So,
also, it was good to see Kamal back, and then Carter was healthy as well.
Yeah.
Always good.
It's good to see that Rodney Smith made it through this game. That's nice. So we've
don't play Antoine against Maryland because
it's good. It's not the first game of Big Ten coverage. Wyatt, here's the question: what's more likely? We end up going over on the spread, or Purdue's quarterback Elijah Sindelar not making it through this TCU game because he's already injured. The odds. Which one is more likely to happen?
Which one is more likely, us covering the spread or Sindelar?
Or Sindelar not making it through this TCU game.
And Sindelar's already injured.
Sindelar's already injured. He got injured.
Then I would absolutely say that 100% it's us covering the spread.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
Hold on. That doesn't mean that I necessarily believe we will cover the spread. It just means that I do not believe that Sindelar will make it through the TCU game.
Here's what I know. They have like 60 combined rushing yards in the first 2 games. Purdue can't run the ball at all.
Is it because of that O-line?
Well, I
Their
mean,
O-line is bad, and they don't have a running back. So
put Rondale Moore in the backfield. He'll probably do better than that.
honestly, he had like 220-something receiving yards against Vanderbilt. So disrespectful. So disrespectful. Anyway, so yeah, I think we beat this. I don't want to put too much into this game because, frankly, I'm not very afraid of Georgia Southern, especially at home. I think we win by 17, but it's really we're winning by like 24, and then we put in our second string during the fourth quarter, so it makes it look a little bit closer than it is, and maybe see a little bit of whoever the second string QB is.
Actually, I was going to say the same thing. I say 17-point game, but we'll score more than that, knowing our offense and defense will improve after 2 games of struggles and silly mistakes, and step up. And then I think, yeah, I agree with you, Larranz. I'm excited to see either Jacob Clark or Cole Kramer under center and see what happens with the second team offense.
Why? Who do you think is more likely to be the second string offense? Jacob Clark or Cole Kramer?
Remind me which one is the stronger arm.
So
Jacob
Jacob
Clark.
Clark was the gunslinger from Texas.
Jacob Clark is the better thrower.
Better thrower, but Cole.
And he's 6'5".
And he's 6'5".
There's very little doubt in my mind that if we're going to throw in a second string guy, Clark's going to be the guy that we want to see in action.
I know he's the one we want to see in action,
but at that point in the game, why would we be throwing the football that much?
Well, I mean, like, at that point, it's more to just kind of see what you have. So, like...
Yeah, but, I don't think PJ's going to be throwing the football with 2 young guys on the field.
I mean, if we're up by 24 in the fourth quarter...
If we're up by a lot, I can see it, but I don't see us winning by as much as you guys do.
Oh. I want to hear your take then. What's your...
I'm going to say 13-point game.
Okay.
And I don't think we ever go up by 24.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
But we're also all 4 of us still says it's a dub though, so that's good.
It's a dub. I don't think Georgia Southern is going to come in and really surprise us. But I don't think we're going to cover the spread.
I mean,
I don't like that 15-point spread at all.
Really? I'm like, we have played the triple option and shut it down.
We've also played Maryland's similar system, and we know how that ends.
You forget we had Zach Anixted.
Joe Rossi was not the defensive coordinator for either one of those debacles.
Please tell me that you guys think that Maryland is not an easy dub.
So are we on hot takes now?
Do we want to go to hot takes?
Let's just go straight to hot takes since you're going that way.
Hot takes. I'm far
Larranz, do you want this or you want me to go first?
You go first, Wyatt.
Hot take, Maryland is a top 3 team in the East.
What? Did you say top 3?
I said top 3.
As in 1, 2, and 3, the Turtles?
I believe that Maryland is looking every bit like a top 3 team in the East.
Really?
Who's your 1 and 2?
I mean, it's hard to count out an Ohio State team ever. Ohio State is there. But look at the other guys who are normally in that top 2, 3, 4 mix. Look at Michigan. performing particularly poorly against Army this week.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Michigan State. Have they really done anything that impresses us yet?
But we're not a Big Ten player yet, though.
Wait, but one thing Michigan State does do that I'm sorry, Maryland ain't about that life. Michigan State is not letting you run the ball. You remember Tulane said we gonna have 2 running backs run for at least 100 on Michigan State. Wyatt, do you know how many yards Michigan State kept those 2 running backs to, sir?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Take a guess.
Not many. Less than 20.
Just take a guess. Just put a number out there.
18.
-70.
Well, I thought I was thinking of 79, but close enough.
-70.
I don't think Michigan State's going to have that much success against Maryland.
I think.
Do I think that Maryland is going to have to throw the ball more against Michigan State? Absolutely.
I don't. What I think. Okay, so like Howard is Howard. Whatever. That's a high school team. Syracuse. Now that was a dope win. The thing about Maryland, and frankly, I think Syracuse was a little bit overrated. But either way,
I do not think Syracuse is a bad team, and I think it's important not to underestimate a Maryland team.
Oh, I'm not underestimating them at all. I think their offense is well run, and frankly, I'm utterly flabbergasted with what Mike Loxley has done with them in a literally one-off season with the same people. But what I am saying is, when they run into a team, but we haven't seen yet, which is actually why I like Minnesota a lot, is because Maryland has not run into a team that has taken away what they do well. Because when they run into a Michigan State, because we're all crapping on Michigan because of how they did, are you aware that they held Army, the defense, held Army to its lowest yardage total since 2015?
Yeah, but is that enough?
I think when you're running into Michigan State, who have the number 1 rushing defense, when you're running into Michigan, I think it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't let Maryland do what it does well, which is running the ball in space, if you don't let them do it, which no one has figured out because Maryland is another one of those teams, first-year head coach that you don't really know. If you're able to stop it, I'm not quite sold on them. I generally think they're a bowl team. In fact, at this point, I think that they are like a 7-5, maybe 8-4 team, and I think they catch somebody. It might be Penn State. Who knows?
I definitely think that they're a top 4 team. But I think they have what it takes to maybe be that top 3 team this year.
Because I can't. It's one of those things where here's where I am with Maryland. I am far more terrified to play them than I am to play Nebraska.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I am terrified of playing Maryland.
Jason. Where do Michigan State, Penn State, and Maryland and Ohio State fall on Michigan's schedule?
Michigan's schedule?
Yeah, Michigan's schedule. What order do those 4 teams fall in?
You think that they gonna upset Michigan?
So
I just want to know the order.
So here's the games Michigan has. So they face this next weekend's Wisconsin, then Rutgers, Iowa, Illinois, Penn State, Notre Dame, Maryland, Michigan State, Indiana, and their last game of the season is the Ohio State.
I got another hot take for you, Larranz.
Uh-oh, don't do it. Don't do it.
By the time we get to the Michigan-Ohio State game,
Don't say
it
it.
will not be a game to determine who wins the Big Ten East.
What will be the game to determine the Big Ten East? Or do you think Ohio State will have already won the East, so it won't
I
matter?
think Ohio State will have the East by that point.
This is Wyatt. These are some hot takes, Wyatt. Whew.
They get.
I see.
Maryland
Hold on. Let's look at the teams that they get that are not by any means give-me's. They get Wisconsin. That is a tough football game.
Then their next game after
They
that is
get-
Rutgers.
They
That's
get
a bye week.
what was it? Was Penn State the next big one?
No, Iowa, 19th ranked Iowa.
They get Iowa, which is by no means a gimme.
But it's at home.
Big
It's at
House.
home. Yes, I will give you that. But
After that, the Illini.
it's not a gimme. After that, who?
Illini.
Okay, give
Bye
them
week.
After
Bye
that,
week.
Penn State.
Penn State.
Penn State.
Penn State's probably the team that I see falling out of the top 4 this year. But I don't think that's a gimme by any means for anybody. I'm just saying that I think that maybe this is the year that Penn State falls off of it.
After that, Notre Dame.
No, well, Notre Dame doesn't count for conference play, but that's not a gimme for Michigan by any means.
No, I mean Notre Dame's ranked higher than them right now. So
I genuinely believe that Michigan. Well, Michigan probably loses that game.
After that, Maryland.
I don't know that Maryland beats Michigan, but I do
don't
not
think-
think that Maryland or that Michigan runs away with that football. I don't.
I had this take after they did what they did to Syracuse. Here's my take: Maryland beats Penn State because Penn State is the most important game that Mike Locksley has to win for recruiting. It is the game in order to get that DMV locked down. You beat
Can we-
Penn State.
Can we take a look at Maryland's schedule?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
You want to run
Also,
through
Maryland-
Maryland's schedule right now, Laurent?
Sure. Also, Maryland gets Nebraska at home, and I can't wait.
Ooh. All right, so here's Maryland. So their first game of the season was Howard. Then next was Syracuse. So this weekend,
2 dubs.
This weekend is Temple.
That's a dub.
Temple beat them last year.
Maryland
Definitely.
isn't gonna go out and let themselves get beat by a Pennsylvania team easy.
I
No.
mean, Texas lost to Maryland 2 years in a row in a year where they all beat Oklahoma and Georgia. So weirder things have happened.
And then their second Big Ten game is Penn State.
Wait, second Big Ten game?
Yeah.
What's their first
Second.
Big Ten
No.
game?
Maryland.
No, it's their first.
No, it was their first.
No.
My bad.
Ooh, wait, hold on, why? And they get a bye week before Penn State.
I think Maryland can beat Penn State by all means that's possible.
I think that's the game. I think that's.
Makes
think
or breaks
they-
Maryland.
Here, I don't think this is a hot take, but I think Maryland is 4-0 after playing Penn State.
Ooh,
All right.
Is that a hot
Got it.
take, Laurence?
that is scolding. That is a scold. Do you think so? How high do you think they climb?
All right,
in the
keep
poll.
running through the schedule, Jason.
Rutgers.
You got it. They beat Rutgers. They're 5-0.
Next is Purdue.
They beat Purdue.
At
Come on,
Penn
Purdue's
State.
going to stop them.
That's fair. That's fair.
Who's after
Purdue?
Purdue?
They're at home against Indiana.
They go 7-0 to start the season. Is
Game
that
8.
a thing?
Then next game is us at home with us.
I don't like the fact that Maryland is 7-0 coming to Minnesota. I don't like that at all.
Now wait, hold up.
Even if they go 6-1, I don't like them coming to Minnesota with that many wins.
Wait, hold up. If we beat Purdue, because I'm all on this track. If we beat Purdue, we will be undefeated until we play Maryland.
Imagine going into the Maryland game, knowing that an undefeated team will fall.
College game day in Minneapolis?
Hint,
What?
wink, wink.
I think it really depends on if Maryland has a loss at that point. If Maryland has a loss, Minnesota wins that game.
I mean, to be fair, college game day is going to Ames, Iowa, even though it took triple overtime for Iowa State to beat Northern Iowa.
But I think if Maryland comes into that game undefeated,
and
we're in for the fight of our lives.
I think if we're undefeated at that point, I think that's a game we win.
That could be. I'm going to say, after 8 games, Maryland can very easily be 7-1. But I don't know that they're 6-2.
Because here's their final 4 games in their stretch. So Michigan.
Which is probably a loss, but it's closer than you think.
Ohio State.
That's a loss. Maryland doesn't beat Ohio State.
No.
Nebraska.
At home. Beat
I
the
want-
dog out of them.
Hey, what's
Go
the last
Terps.
game? Just run me to the last game.
Michigan State.
Michigan State?
Yep.
I do think
Michigan.
that Maryland goes 8-4-ish.
Yeah,
Maybe 9-3 if they're real lucky.
They have to go to Michigan State for Michigan State senior night. Michigan State is going to eat them. And by eat them, I mean it's Michigan State and their offensive trash, so I mean beat them by 6. But it's a game that's like 12-6. That's the game.
All right, Larranz, feed me a hot take.
What's your hot take?
Hot take. Ooh, here we go. This hot take is really stupid. This is really stupid. Here we go. Illinois beats Nebraska.
Oh!
Under what circumstances?
So Illinois gets, I don't know if you saw, but the first week of Big Ten games have been announced. Illinois gets Nebraska under the lights for their first at home for their first Big Ten game, and I don't know if y'all have been paying attention, but Brandon Peters, the Michigan transfer, who is now at Illinois, why PJ did not go after him, I will never know. Brandon Peters has been slinging it for Illinois. I believe he has thrown 9 touchdown passes so far. And I think this is the job that may save Lovie Smith's. This is the game that may save Lovie Smith's jobs. Yeah, he's thrown 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think
Larranz.
this is the game. Yes.
I just want to throw another hot take at you and see how you digest this one. Since, you're
Okay.
petty.
I am petty.
Nebraska does not finish in the top half of the Big Ten.
Okay. I don't even think that's a hot take, baby. What do you mean by like
Better
the
yet,
top half? You mean
Nebraska does not finish in the top 4 of the Big Ten West.
ooh.
Who do you have on top?
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Have you seen the last 2 weeks? Wisconsin.
Okay, now
Obvious.
wait, hold up. Hold
They
up.
absolutely blew the crap out of USF.
USF was on a 7-game losing streak coming into that game.
And
And Central Michigan was 1-11 last year, 0-8 in the MAC.
And how many points have been scored against Wisconsin?
I would hope nothing.
And
They
how many
haven't.
points has Wisconsin scored?
110. But as I said,
Who does Wisconsin have this week, Jason?
bye week before Michigan, at home. I will say it, I am not sold on Wisconsin. I'm terrified of them.
Oh, I'm 100% on board with the idea that Wisconsin will probably win the Big Ten.
In fact, I wouldn't be shocked at all. In fact, like I think they deserve to be the favorites because it seems Hunter Johnson for Northwestern can't throw the ball. But
Do they even have a spread or any kind of spread for that Wisconsin-Michigan game yet? Or are they not thinking about that?
It's too soon.
it's too soon. And I also think that because Jonathan Taylor has now learned how to catch the ball, he is a whole new level of terrifying. But I want to reserve judgment on Wisconsin until I watch them play a team that can hit back. Because here's the thing, and this isn't a hot take, but I'm currently more terrified to play Maryland than Wisconsin.
Oh,
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
Because Maryland has at least played a team that can hit back. Wisconsin has not.
So what happened? What do you feel if Wisconsin goes to Michigan they beat Michigan senseless?
Oh, then Wisconsin's winning the West, and it's not even close.
Is there a chance that Wisconsin wins the Big Ten?
No.
Or is this Ohio State?
Ohio
This
State.
is just Ohio State's conference?
This Ohio State. First of all, I always like to say Ohio State is the winner until someone knocks them off. And after seeing what Justin Fields can do, Ohio State's winning because their defensive line is terrifying again. Why? Because in the offseason, they went and got a dude from Michigan. So, there you go. But I think Ohio State is the team to beat because Justin Fields can throw the ball. What?
Who are your early Heisman frontrunners?
Jonathan Taylor, because put some respect on his name. He is.
You think a running back's going to make it onto that list?
No, I just think he deserves it. Anyway,
I agree with you, but
my actual front runners, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Yes, he is the front runner.
No.
Jalen freaking Hurts is the front runner to me. Because Trevor Lawrence has low-key looked like trash.
No.
Okay.
I don't think Jalen Hurts is the front runner.
Who do
Jalen
you think
Hurts,
it
watch
is?
this. Wait, hold on. Put some respect.
I don't think Jalen Hurts is out of
Jalen-
the conversation by any means.
Hold up. Do you know that in his very first game, he broke an Oklahoma record? In his very first game?
Do you think that by the time we get to the point where they are voting for Heisman, that Jalen Hurts is going to be the top name on the list?
Well, Oklahoma did it 2 years in a row, and in his very first game, he already broke an Oklahoma record. Do you realize in his first game, he threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and then ran for 176 yards, 3 touchdowns? Do you realize in his second game, he threw for 3 touchdowns, 14 of 18, and then ran for 104 yards?
You realize I realize all of this.
And more importantly, and this is the most important thing, do you realize that he plays in the Big 12?
I don't think playing in the Big 12 should give you a free pass to the Heisman.
It's not about a free pass, but watch this. If he's already breaking records that Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield did, think about him having to play 3 years in the SEC, playing nasty defenses week after week. What do you think he's going to do when he plays Kansas?
I do not believe that Kansas stands a chance.
What's he going to do when he plays Texas Tech? What do you think is literally the only teams in the Big 12 who stand a chance is Texas and maybe Iowa State. That's it. That's Wyatt.
Hold on.
This dude.
Iowa State is not going to stand a chance against Jalen Hurts. Let's be very clear.
Okay, so then you recognize that it's literally Texas. That's it.
But he is going
to throw over 3,000 yards, and he's going to run for over 1,000 yards, and he's going to throw for at least 45 touchdowns, and he's going to run for at least 15 more.
Wait, hold on. 45 touchdowns?
Very much so. Bank on it.
In 2 games, he has thrown 6.
Yep.
In 12 games, that is 36. Correct?
He's going to throw 45. Why? Because how many more touchdowns could he have thrown? Because he didn't even play the fourth quarter.
You expect him to play the fourth quarter against Kansas?
He didn't even play the second half against South Dakota.
Do you expect him to play the fourth quarter against Kansas? Do you expect him to play the fourth quarter against Texas Tech?
Yes.
What about... I don't know.
Yo, we gotta wrap this up.
I expect him to wait, hold up. I expect him to play all these fourth quarters because their defense can't stop a toddler. So Jalen Hurts will have no choice but to continually bail his horrible defense out.
I don't think I agree with that.
Why? Get on the Hurts train. Get on the Hurts train. Go on, Jalen. Come on, Jalen.
But don't get me wrong. I am rooting for Jalen Hurts. I want to see Alabama in so much pain.
That's the goal.
When he
that's my hot take.
dramatically outperforms Tua Tagovailoa.
Jalen Hurts front runner, Tua second, Jonathan Taylor third.
You don't think that Fields is in the conversation?
Huh?
You don't think that Fields is in the conversation?
Not yet.
You don't think
He's
that
new.
Trevor Lawrence doesn't make it into the conversation?
All right.
Do you think that Clemson is going to be in the college football playoffs again?
They play in the ACC. The second best
Do you
team in the
think
ACC.
they deserve it?
The second best team in the ACC was Syracuse.
Is Syracuse?
And Syracuse just lost by 43 points to the Turtles.
Let's be very clear. Syracuse
Okay.
is still the second best team in the ACC.
Yeah, I think it's Virginia.
Oh, that's fair. But
I think Virginia
either way,
is the second best team, but
it is not close.
yeah.
But do they deserve to be playing in the college football playoffs?
You go undefeated in a Power 5 conference?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Because I think maybe if I go undefeated in the Pac-12,
I think the ACC is a little bit better than the Pac-12
I don't agree.
because at the worst teams in the Pac-12 are just as horrible as the worst teams in the ACC. And I think the middle of the Pac-12 is better. But the top of the Pac-12 is bad. It's bad.
If we have an undefeated conference champion in every single conference, who doesn't make it?
You take Clemson because they've. You take Clemson
You
because
take
they,
Bama, you take
You take
Clemson.
Bama. You take Clemson. You take Ohio State,
Well, yes.
and then you take
God.
Oklahoma.
So the Pac-12 gets left out because they are the Pac-12.
Because literally their only hopes for an undefeated champion right now because Washington lost. Because Oregon lost. Their only hopes is Washington State. Really? You're going to take the Cougs? Or Colorado.
What happens if we throw Notre Dame into the mix?
If Notre Dame goes undefeated,
What if Notre Dame goes undefeated?
you still take Ohio State. You still take... Ooh.
Because now you have Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame.
I'd say Notre Dame's out.
Notre Dame doesn't play bad teams.
They don't
No,
Well,
play
they
bad
do,
teams.
but they don't play exclusively bad teams.
Wyatt, they played Georgia and Michigan this year.
They play Georgia, and they play. Those are not given games.
If Notre Dame goes undefeated and you have an undefeated Power 5 champion from all 5 conferences, you take Alabama, you take Clemson, you take Ohio State, and you take Notre Dame.
You don't take Oklahoma?
Nope.
What about
Because
Jalen Hurts?
He'll still win the Heisman.
Lamar Jackson won the Heisman.
All right, Ron's, riddle me this.
You really
The
don't want
champion of the Pac-12 is undefeated.
Yes.
Oklahoma goes undefeated.
Yes.
Notre Dame goes undefeated.
Yes.
Ohio State loses a football game.
By how much?
Doesn't matter. We'll say Ohio State loses a fairly close football game. Clemson loses a slightly less close football game. And
Ooh.
Alabama gets devastated.
Is there still an undefeated SEC team?
No.
Well,
In fact, let's complicate
is
it. Alabama
Dame,
has a loss, and
is Notre
Georgia
Dame
has a
still
loss.
undefeated? Is Notre Dame still undefeated?
Notre Dame's undefeated.
Okay, Notre Dame's in.
Notre Dame is undefeated. Oklahoma's undefeated. Pac-12 champ. It's Washington State or who?
Colorado.
Is Stanford not undefeated?
Nope, they just lost to USC. Or USC. USC is undefeated. They beat Fresno.
Let's take Washington State or USC because Colorado's not going to. Let's complicate it by making it a Washington State or USC team.
If USC
and actually, let's say it's USC because I think they have the best chance.
Then
USC, Notre Dame, Oklahoma are all undefeated. Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia are all one-loss teams.
Damn, that would be. This is going to be the longest podcast episode ever, and only like 20 minutes.
What do you think, Jason?
Was spent on the actual game.
Also, there's one question that you should have asked already.
What?
What in this scenario? Who goes?
Like my 4 teams into the playoffs at this point?
Given that information, if all of that is true, who makes it?
Well, I mean, in this scenario.
In this scenario, like if the season ended today, right?
This is like a logic game. This is a logic game.
Okay, Jason, let me run you through this again.
No, like if at the end of
Notre Dame is undefeated.
Yeah.
USC is undefeated.
Okay.
Oklahoma is undefeated.
Okay.
Ohio State has a close loss. Clemson has a somewhat close loss.
So we have 5 teams. 3
Georgia has a somewhat close loss. And Alabama has a devastating loss.
Well, shit. Fuck.
I think you have to take. For me personally, I think you have to take Ohio State, and that's not me being.
Let's say Georgia's loss is to Bama.
But it was close. Right? Is that the close loss
No,
you're talking about?
it wouldn't.
That's
Wyatt,
Georgia's somewhat close loss.
Because here's my take.
Wait,
I'll take Notre Dame.
Wait, Wyatt.
I'll take Notre Dame.
Hold up.
Wait, do they not play?
It can't be, because this is now it has to be Notre Dame. Because remember,
Georgia plays Notre Dame. So Alabama's loss is Georgia.
So in your scenario, exactly, and Georgia's loss is Notre Dame.
So in this scenario, Alabama's out. Alabama lost to a team that lost.
Yeah.
Alabama's out in that scenario.
So I'm taking Notre Dame, Ohio State.
You're taking Ohio State with a loss?
Yeah.
As your 2?
Well, not 2, but I'm not.
Hold on, Larranz. Let's do it in order.
Order? Fuck. Okay, Notre Dame.
The one would be, for me, Notre Dame.
Is it Notre Dame?
I'm saying Notre Dame.
Because they'll have beaten the SEC champs.
And Michigan.
They'll have.
Let's complicate this further.
And Michigan.
Michigan doesn't finish in the top 3 of the Big Ten East.
But they beat Ohio State.
Do they beat Ohio State?
Yeah, that would be the one game that Ohio State would lose.
Does Wisconsin play Ohio State?
They do.
Let's say it's Wisconsin.
At the Horseshoe, though.
We'll say Wisconsin edges Ohio State at the Horseshoe.
Impossible. Impossible. Not impossible.
Or we can do this. Michigan State beats Ohio State.
Ooh, I like that.
Doesn't matter. It's not Michigan.
It's not Michigan. You really don't want Michigan to beat them.
Here's
You
the
just
thing.
love their misery.
No, I want Jim Harbaugh fired so Michigan doesn't beat.
So
Here's-
Alright.
okay,
was your,
here's
was
So
my
your
your
rant
one is
on hot-
Notre Dame, Jason.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Larranz, who's your one?
Notre Dame, and it's not close.
You don't think it's close?
No.
And who's your number one then, Wyatt?
I think you've got to make an argument for Oklahoma, especially if Oklahoma is absolutely clobbering teams.
But they won't be because their defense is trash.
Maybe.
That's the point.
Like,
Not maybe.
for me,
It's Oklahoma.
Oklahoma will
Wait,
be undefeated
hold
with
on.
a trash defense for me, and they're number 4.
Does Notre Dame play USC?
They do.
All right, let's complicate things further.
Oh shit.
Because that means that USC and Notre Dame can't both be undefeated.
USC is
Which
one.
means it's Washington State.
You want Wazoo?
Washington State is undefeated.
I don't care if Washington State is undefeated and beat everyone by 30. The committee would never. No, I'm kidding.
So you think it's
No,
Notre Dame 1?
I think Notre Dame is 1. I think Oklahoma is 2.
Okay. And it's not close.
And it's not close. Oklahoma's 2.
Who does Oklahoma have to play?
Only Texas.
No, who does Oklahoma have to play in the college football playoffs?
in the
under this
third.
scenario?
Because, so the only 2 teams in this scenario who's undefeated is Notre Dame and Oklahoma, right?
Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Washington State.
Washington State. I think Washington State has to be 3.
You think?
They have to be 3.
But
And then would you put
But
Ohio
hold on,
State
hold
at
on.
4?
Georgia devastated Alabama. Let's not forget that.
I don't care. They have to be number 3. They have to be number 3.
And who's 4?
Ohio State.
You take Ohio State over Georgia.
Because Georgia will have already lost to Notre Dame. And here's my thing. The Big Ten has 7 ranked teams. 7 ranked teams, which means...
Will they have
Ohio-
7 ranked teams at the end of the year?
Yeah, because we have 7 ranked teams, and then Nebraska wasn't ranked, and then Maryland is. So I think
we end the year with 6.
okay, and I think that the SEC ends the year with 5. I think here's the reason why you have to take Ohio State. A conference champion, so that's great too. Shit.
Hold on.
Actually, no, wait, hold up. No, actually, thinking back, the only way this works. No, yeah, Ohio State.
I want to complicate this a little more.
Why?
Boy, we're hitting our
cut
time limit.
Georgia plays Auburn for the SEC championship. Auburn is a one-loss team. It is the SEC champion.
Okay.
Alabama has 2 losses.
Okay, then Alabama's out. So
Alabama's out.
Auburn is 1 loss, and Georgia is undefeated. Georgia loses to Auburn.
Georgia's 1 loss. Georgia has a loss to Notre Dame.
Okay, but then Georgia beats Auburn.
But Georgia beats Auburn.
Okay.
Then Georgia's the conference champion.
You take Ohio State, and because you said it's a close loss. If it's what the frick has happened the last 2 years, then no, you take Georgia. But if they say lose by 3 to... Actually,
What if they both lose by 3?
No, watch this. If they lose by 3 to, say, Wisconsin, I'll take your scenario up. If they lose by 3 to Wisconsin, but they play Wisconsin again in the Big Ten championship, and they beat them. Then you take Ohio
What
State.
if it's Michigan State?
Then it's a fluke. Because they were.
And what if Georgia's lost to Notre Dame is close?
But they lost at home.
Ohio State plays Michigan State on the road?
I don't know. You really?
I don't know where they play either.
You are trying your very best to make sure.
I'm trying my hardest to make this difficult, to make you make a difficult choice.
No.
First of all, I don't know that Wazoo gets 3.
I think they have to get 3.
Because I think the committee hates the Pac-12.
They do, but if they're undefeated, you can't. Because if an undefeated Pac-12 team, wins all their games, ends up in the conference championship game and wins, then you cannot shut them out of the playoffs. Because if you shut them out of the playoffs, then the playoffs have to expand like next year, because that's disrespectful, and like the Pac-12 would have every right to be like, what?
I think that this very possible scenario, is a reasonable argument for why the playoffs should expand anyway.
I mean, fair. I mean,
because if you have
3
one-loss conference champions, and only one of them makes the playoffs,
the message is don't lose.
but there's a team that lost that's in. There's a team that loses that's in.
You gotta take Ohio State. Because Big Ten carries more value
To the committee?
because of the gauntlet that is the Big Ten East. Because the SEC East is a cupcake walk. The SEC
Jason, I gotta
West
throw harder
is a
stuff at
gauntlet.
him.
Yo, we gotta end this.
The SEC West. Goodbye. I'm Larranz.
I'm Wyatt.
Jason, and we'll see you guys next time.